This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in California. I am here with Aimee Lyndon-Adams. Over the past 3 decades, she has channeled a council of 12 ascended master guides and is able to see her clients at a soul level, so they can receive in the moment customized guidance, allowing them to enjoy the life that they came to live. I am joined here with the emergence mentor, speaker, author, and advisor. Aimee, thanks so much for joining us here today.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. Let's start off a little bit about yourself. You began your formal education at MIU in the science of creative intelligence. As a founder of organizations like What Truly Matters, Raise My Vibes, and Spiritual Energy Healing Now, you have become a trusted advisor for many. Share with me, first of all, how far back this passion for helping others began for you?
Well, I think, one of the things that my clients really enjoy about me is that I have also experience in the corporate arena. And so it's like I call my brand of spirituality practical spirituality. And once I learned all about service and sales and at the executive level, and then went on to learn training design, delivery, facilitation, I had this just brainwave that I could be using all these same skills around my own subject matter. And that was when I fused my passion for spirituality into a business offering that has just kept growing and growing and growing.
You never looked back from there. The two came together very easily, and forward you went. I mean, coaches and advisors that I have introduced before, they are able to tap into their own years of experience to help others. How is being able to tap into the wisdom and healing energy of 12 ascended master guides probably much different than what other advisors are able to provide?
I do think it's different. I don't wish to put down other forms of coaching,
Sure.
Having been a coach myself before this. But it does feel a little bit like having an unfair advantage.
I would imagine.
Exactly. Because the guides are able to see each one of us as an aspect of divinity on a path, they're able to see what is blocking us on that path and really how to navigate from where we are to where we want to be. One of the things, though, that they never do is they never tell anyone what to do. They are aware that we are the ones in the body this lifetime, and it's our life to live. So I always think of them as counselors, advisors, guides who present information for my clients' consideration. The other thing they do is they use my own experience to kind of tap me or nudge me to tell one of my own stories that would illustrate the point for one of my clients, which makes it much easier. It's much more entertaining. It's much easier. And the other thing that we have as an agreement is I never teach anything I haven't done myself or don't practice myself.
Interesting. Like you say, quite an advantage when somebody's whispering in your ear like that and is able to tap into your experiences as well. I mean, these are 12 ascended masters. What does ascended mean? I mean, these are not physical guides here on Earth, correct? Explain that for the viewers.
Beautiful. Thank you for the question. An ascended master is one who has completed their growth cycle on the Earth. And, all of us present on Earth are in the process of doing that. One of the things I like to share is a system that Jose Stevens brought to the forefront called the Soul Age system, and that all of us are moving through a series of soul ages: infant souls, baby souls, young souls, mature souls, old souls. There are 7 levels within each soul age, and once you've completed the lesson of the level, then you advance to the next soul age. in previous lifetimes, you would have to die and come back to go up a soul level. But this lifetime, because the stakes are so high, many of us are experiencing soul level shifts within a lifetime. It's confusing for a short while one kind of aspect of yourself is completed and another comes into being. But it's very manageable. So my Ascended Master Guides have all completed all their lifetimes on Earth and many more besides, and now hold great positions within the architecture of the higher worlds. And they are committed beyond anything I could ever imagine to partnering with those of us who are willing to accelerate our growth.
Interesting. What a fascinating way to explain that. Different levels that you can really move on to within a lifetime. When did you first realize you had the ability to channel these guides? And did you early on understand that process, or did you kind of have to learn to understand that over time, I would imagine?
Exactly. Well, I met the first 5 guides in my mid-30s, and I was told by a spiritual woman that I was working with that there were 5 guides that wanted to meet with me. And of course, I was very excited. And I met with them one by one, and they explained that we shared purpose and destiny, and that they would like to get used to my own energy field, because that's actually where they reside, within a person's energy field. And I remember I went for a channeled reading. This is way before I learned how to channel. I'll tell you that story in a moment. But I went to a person who was well known for channeling. And the first thing he said to me when he walked into the room was, "I'd like to acknowledge the presence of your 5 guides, the fabulous 5, as they like to call themselves. And their energy is so powerful that they will interfere with this reading. So would you be comfortable if I just put them in a kind of a cylinder so they can still be present with you, but not interfere with the reading?" I have to tell you, that was an extraordinary moment that someone who had never met me before could see my 5 guides.
Wow. I mean, you became a believer rather quickly that those 5 definitely do exist, and they're definitely real. I mean, you share a purpose with your guides to assist light workers. What is a light worker? Explain that for us.
Yes. A light worker is a soul that has chosen to be manifested in a physical body this lifetime for the purpose of bringing the light to the earth. We're on a very special journey on earth these days. As you can probably tell, you don't really have to be spiritual to know there's great change afoot. An old way of being is dying out, and a new way of being is coming in. And it's coming in really at quite an accelerated rate these days. So a light worker is really here to heal themselves and be able to share the light within their being. I always like to say that your energy field is kind of like an invitation. You don't have to be on a soapbox and say, wake up, wake up. Your energy field does the work for you. So you can be at a grocery store or in the bank, and just by walking in, you change the energy in the entire place. So I have purpose and destiny with my 12 Ascended Master Guides. The other 7, by the way, arrived probably about 15 years after the first ones were here, and 7 more of them that wanted to arrive, but they couldn't get into my field because it was too chaotic. So I said, "Oh, what's the chaos from?" And they said, "You're working with a multimedia company, and the energy of the company is so chaotic. You're being presented with a choice. You can either let go of the work that you've been doing and open up to receive these 7 more guides, and it's, of course, up to you entirely." And it was a big decision. I was making about 10 grand a month from the multimedia company, but I knew that I was in the world to make a difference. And if I had 7 more guides that wanted to come in. This was pretty powerful. And so the first 5 came in after 10 days of resigning from my work. And they told me they were part of my greater purpose, that they didn't even really want to tell me their names. I could feel into their energy. It was incredibly positive. They said they wanted to get used to my field because they would be ready, willing, and able to help me a little bit later on with the process. And then after another 10 days, I was absolutely flabbergasted, but Mary Magdalene arrived. And within another 10 days, Yeshua arrived, Yeshua, who was known as Jesus on the earth plane. And these 2 beings I've had really an amazing dance with this lifetime, finding A Course in Miracles early in my life and walking with Yeshua for, over 3 years with A Course in Miracles. And I really felt like we knew each other so deeply. And Yeshua and Mary asked my partner and I, Victor, who I've been with for almost 20 years now, they came to us one Christmas Eve and they asked us if we would co-teach a program called Sacred Intimacy with them. And I was just so deeply moved by the whole experience. But having worked with them for so long in my practice, it wasn't a question of fear. It was more a question of expansion, expanding into a new role together. So, yeah, it's, I think all light workers are here to share purpose with their guides too, but mostly here to share their light on earth.
I think the word flabbergasted that you use is perfect for that whole experience that you've gone through. I mean, quite amazing. You weren't surprised by it because you've worked with them in the past, but still yet quite flabbergasted. I mean, we all grow up with beliefs that maybe we have found or even forced upon us. Do these become outdated beliefs and actual programming that can block our ability to fulfill our purpose, would you say?
I think that's an incredibly astute question, first of all, because beliefs, especially at this time, we have to realize that we're ending an old frequency on the planet. You've probably heard it described as the third dimension. It's a frequency of separation, of bringing the past, the present, the future all together. It's a frequency of duality. And we're moving into a much higher frequency of oneness, togetherness, collaboration, sharing the resources, sharing the wealth. So we have to realize that up until now, everything that we've learned in our life so far has been connected to life in 3D, a lower frequency. So many of the beliefs that we've acquired that are not even ours, they just were handed down generationally, are no longer in effect. They're outdated and they're actually damaging. One of the things that I am passionate about is that up until now, we've all been imprinted and programmed by our parents, by schooling, by business, by the media, by religious instruction even, to believe that we're small, that we shouldn't be too big, too loud, we shouldn't share too much. We've all been kind of boxed into a little box to fit in, and we're breaking out of that now. That's why I call myself an emergence mentor, because we're emerging out of what I call our false self-image. Who we've been told we are is not who we are. Yeah. What we've been told to believe, it is no longer true.
You say to keep small, don't rock the boat. I mean, is it common to not trust ourselves and our own guidance? I mean, this belief that authority over our life is perceived to be from the outside of us instead of really from within, would you say?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's because you've been told who you are, and you've been told how to think. I don't believe that spiritual beliefs are exempt from being reviewed, because just like anything else in 3D, these spiritual concepts have been used to control us, to make us feel badly about ourselves. I mean, just a simple example is, in life on Earth, up until now, we learn by making mistakes. Mistakes are correctable. A religion would have you believe that your mistakes are sins, which are punishable. So I'm fully on board with us looking at every belief, every tenet from every system. And what I say to everyone at this time is, it's time for us to think for ourselves. The biggest problem is we no longer know who we are. Now, when you are born, again, up until now, you go through what's called the veil of forgetfulness. So even though you set up what you came to teach, what you came to learn, what you came to contribute, you knew how evolved you were in that soul age system, the minute you were born, you forgot everything. And so that has been a real issue for us, to remember who we actually are versus who we've been told we are. And who we are is an aspect of divinity.
I mean, as we move into a higher frequency, that's pretty exciting news for most people if they really think about it. I mean, it seems, we're all changing and evolving. Is community critical to our overall well-being? And should we be maybe kind of picky in choosing our communities? As the journey is even better together when we take it together, correct?
It is. And, another thing that I say a lot is, this is not a going it alone lifetime. It is not, because we are moving into a frequency that will bring us together. And, when you think about all the problems on Earth, they've really stemmed from this forced separation that we've been taught to see a stranger as an enemy, to be afraid of them. But in fact, we are one big human family. And, in life to come over the next, 5, 10, 20 years, we'll be living in ways that will be unrecognizable to those of us who are alive now, as the many of the fixtures that we've come to depend on will just simply not be needed. And one of those aspects is, we've all been enslaved around money. What if we didn't need money? How would you live your life if you didn't need to earn money?
Yep. Like you said, speaking of not being alone, and this is not an alone journey, it seems the isolation of 2020 still affects us today. Do we all kind of miss a deeper connection with others beyond what technology ended up allowing? Even like a Zoom call here, we're seeking something even more.
We truly are. I think COVID, of course, it led to some dreadful, dreadful things, unimaginable. And also, it actually broke a lot of people open around how they were choosing to live their life and not willing to live their life that way anymore. To spend an hour and a half both ways in a commute to get to work and sit in a fluorescent lit cube. And, a lot of people have made very different choices. But I do think that, your earlier question about being discerning about the people that we get close to is an important one. And for that, I would say, as I kind of use my hands to illustrate this, you can meet a person at the same level of frequency, because we do tend to attract our reflection. So let's say you meet a friend and you're both resonating at the same level of frequency, but then you start to grow and your friend does not. And so you keep growing and your friend does not, and your friend does not. And there comes a point where it's virtually impossible to connect anymore without lowering your frequency back down. And you can't lower your frequency without suffering. So what happens is that person tends to move away and find someone at their level to be friendly with. You know, everybody's at different stages of growth, no harm, no foul. And the person up here, if they let go of the people trying to pull them down, will meet someone at their level. And so there's room for growth for everybody, and very harmoniously.
And so, like you say, being discerning, understanding you're looking for somebody at your frequency or higher, and not to downsize. I mean, the option is not to downsize. That doesn't help anyone. I mean, we have all been taught to believe that others are better than us, better looking, more intelligent, have better access to guidance, and so many more limiting beliefs. Are we all starting to wake up and emerge beyond this third dimension? Is that what you're starting to see?
That's exactly what's happening. It's happening on small levels, and it's happening on big levels. Because when you have enlightened leaders, they're moving their organizations into a higher frequency model. We're starting to see that the old models, the old strategies for living just don't work anymore. For example, you know, we all were taught productivity was the name of the game. Remember, the false self-image is always insisting that you prove your value because you were told that, you know, everything about you basically was wrong. And so now you've decided, well, you know, there's something wrong with me and I'm going to have to prove my value. And of course, the main arena that we do that in, or one of the main arenas, is the work arena. And so that, again, has been really misused and held against workers. You know, if you try to complain about your situation, I was told myself, you know, there's a line of people out the door wanting your job. You know, out you go, because they didn't have to change anything. But now we're starting to realize that growth is not just about money and expansion. Growth has to include the things that got left out of that model. And enlightened leaders now are coming in that are recognizing that the greatest resources are the people. And when you treat your people well, then the company will flourish. So yes, we're having to let go of an old way of seeing ourselves and open to a really new way. Most of us who are interested in spiritual growth are advanced beings. Anyone who is interested in your show, I would say, is already a mature or an old soul. A mature soul is here to integrate the feelings and also to understand that they are energy beings, spiritual energy beings. An old soul is here to learn to love themselves.
I mean, it's exciting. Exciting as we move from a lower frequency into a higher frequency. That should be exciting for people to understand and know. So how do people get started with your help? Is there a consultation you give? Is this something you try to make and keep affordable for people? What would you recommend for those folks who maybe want to get started with you?
Thank you for the question. I feel very strongly about being affordable. I have really been upset at the huge amounts of dollars being asked for this kind of work. I just can't support that. I haven't raised my fees in over a decade, and I very much doubt that I will do it now. So I really, truly am affordable. And for those people wanting to get started, I would recommend, some of my training programs. On my website, I list some of my training programs. The very beginning is a program for just $33. And it's to teach you how to ground and center your body and your energy field. It's the most basic, because as an energy being, to keep yourself flourishing, you can tap in to high frequency coming from the earth and high frequency coming from the heavens, and you can fill every cell of your body with the highest frequency imaginable. And then you learn how to protect that field so that when you go out, people aren't just kind of glomming on and taking bites out of your field, so that you can feel very comfortable in your own field, but also deeply connected to others. That's the heart-centered grounding program, and that's available on my website, along with several other programs. If you're in a relationship, the Sacred Intimacy is phenomenal. It talks about the true purpose of relationship. Most people have no idea what relationship is about. So first we start with what's possible within relationship, and then we look at a whole new model of sexuality. It's actually not new, it's really, really old, but it's time to come back. It's about raising sexual energy to make it a spiritual practice. And then it completes with module 3, all about healing abuse. So many people on earth have been subjected to abuse of all kinds, not just sexual, emotional, physical, and so on. And Mary Magdalene was very passionate that this Sacred Intimacy program include a module or a whole collection of modules on healing abuse. So anyone who's been abused, I really wholeheartedly recommend you go there.
I mean, you make it affordable, you make it easy for people to get started. They can go right to your website and get all kinds of resources there. I mean, Aimee, you are a consciousness leader, best-selling author, trusted advisor. You're helping others find the fullness of their contribution to the planet during this really shift of the ages, if you will. Is this rewarding work for you?
I like to say, I just turned 76. And I like to say that whenever I'm working with my guides and channeling their energy, it's like being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel absolutely invincible when their energy is with me. And because of the work I do, I spend hours and hours in their energy field, helping other people by being in this space that I am. I don't know what I did to deserve it. I just have to say, I am truly blessed. I feel truly blessed by my work. And, I think you asked me a question about how did I start channeling? I'd love to just respond to that. Because it was an amazing experience for me. It was one day I was just sitting with a client and I started to say things, and I realized I was saying things that I hadn't thought about or even actually knew I knew. And that's how it began. And then I sat with my guides afterwards and they said, yes, this is us. And I said, why do I have this job? Why do I get to do it? And they said, you have the ability to translate energy into words. And that's what I felt. In the early days, I would always look to my right because I would always feel this energy towards my right coming in. And then I would just open my mouth and out it would come. Now, every so often, I would say, oh my God, do I have to say that? You really want me to say that? And they said, trust us. Say it like we're giving it to you. And then I would actually, in the beginning, I would say, oh, I'm a little uncomfortable, but they're wanting me to say this to you. And every time it would just open something up for them. So I learned to trust the process completely. And now it's virtually seamless. It just feels effortless.
I'm so happy we captured that story. captured what it was like for you. I mean, you feel very blessed, at the same time flabbergasted, really, by the experiences that you've had in the past. I think that sums it up. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is her website. On the website, you're going to see all the services she provides. You can see many products on the site supporting your self-care. You will find many trusted resources, and you can book a session with her right there on the website. I mean, this year, if you are ready to release the old and call in the new era, then reach out today. Once again, that is Aimee Lyndon-Adams, channeling wisdom and healing energy through her words and her hands. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.